Are you new to City Heroes or a returning player and wanting to know more about the Outcast faction in the game? I'm Controlled Chaos, and in this video we're going to go over exactly that. So the Outcasts are a gang in the game that's a villain group that you fight. And they are sort of considered like Storm from X-Men. In her earlier years before she became an X-Men, she was in a gang and used for her powers. This is the same type of thing, except the difference is that the Outcasts, their gang members don't have multiple different elemental powers. They get one elemental power, which is either fire, ice, or earth. And it goes along that way, and their lower ranking members don't have any elemental powers whatsoever. They're just regular human beings. I want to talk to you guys about the different minion types in this, the different types of villains you will run across in the Outcasts. First off, you have the minions, which is the Outcast Initiate Chopper. This minion uses a revolver and a fire axe. Then you have the Outcast Initiate Slammer. This one uses a revolver for range and for melee uses a sledgehammer. Then you have the Outcast Initiate Slicer. The Initiate Slicer uses a revolver and a knife. Then you have the Outcast Initiate Slugger. This Initiate uses the revolver and baseball bat. Now we start getting into the mutants within the minion ranks. You have the Outcast Charger. This character uses lightning and both range and melee. Only has one attack for each. It has charge bolts for the range and charge brawl for the melee. Then you have the Outcast Cooler. This character, of course, by name, goes with the whole entire thing of using ice. So ice bolts for range, frost fists for melee. Then you have the Outcast Crusher. And the Outcast Crusher uses a submachine gun for range because there is, at the time of this faction, was no stone ranged attacks. Then there's Stone Fist that they use for their melee. Then you have the Outcast Torch, and this Outcast uses fire, and it has Flare for the range and Scorch for the melee on the attacks. Now we're going to jump into the Lieutenants. And the Lieutenants, this is where you start seeing some variations. This is where the skin tones start changing and getting very unique. First you have the Block, and the Block uses a shotgun for range and a Stone Fist attack for melee. Then you have the Brick, and the Brick will actually hurl and boulder at you for ranged and then use Stone Fist for melee. Now we start getting into the Lieutenants where the skin tones change a bit. And you first off have the Chiller, and they have a slight green tint to the skin, and they use shotgun for range and frozen fists for melee. After that you have the Freeze, and these guys have a light blue skin tint to them, and they use Ice Blast and Frozen Fists for their attacks. Then you have the Match, and the Match is an orange tint to the skin and uses submachine guns and Scorch for melee. Then you have Scorch, which also has that orange tint, but they use Fire Blast for the ranged instead and still have Scorch for the melee. After that you have Volt. Volt has sort of a teal look to them. It's a greenish blue look, and they use submachine guns and charged brawls for their attack. Then you have Shockers. They have a light blue look to them in the skin tone. They have flight, lightning bolts, and charged rolls. So the shockers are easy to spot because they can fly. That's how you know you're dealing with a shocker lieutenant. Then we have the bosses, and the bosses, you have the lead brick, and these guys have normal skin tones, but they have a lot of powers to them. You'll see them hurling boulders, using stone fists, stone mallets, stone spears for ranged, and then rock armor. Then you have the lead freezer. The lead freezer has that skin tint that we're all used to. Uses ice blast, ice sword, has a hold, freezing touch, and then frozen armor. So that's how you can tell them apart. Then you have the lead scorch, which has the orange skin. Will use fireball, fire blast, scorch, fire shield, and will summon fire imps. And that's how you can definitely tell that they're a boss for fires, if they summon the imps. Then you have the lead shocker. The lead shocker has flight, lightning bolt, ball of lightning, which is an area effect attack, and then it has havoc punch, charge brawl, and then lightning field. And lightning field is a very unique ability where they have lightning shooting out from their feet along the ground, and that's how you can tell that you have the shocker there. Overall, that is the majority of the Outcast and how they work. Now, how do you fight these guys? It really depends on which one of them you are fighting. If you're fighting the minions, just take them out. If you're fighting one of the lieutenants or the bosses that has a hold, you want to hold them or daze them or keep them off their feet as much as possible. That's very helpful. Or keep their endurance as 0 if you can. And that's how you fight those. But overall, they're not that hard to fight unless you're surrounded by them, because you won't have a bunch of ice ones or a bunch of fire ones or a bunch of earth ones. You'll have a mixed match of them all together. So you'll have a fire one and an earth one, maybe a lightning one, and then some minions and stuff like that. So it has a variety of different effects taking onto, being slowed, having a fire dot on you, being held, and things like that will happen. You really have to sort of pay attention and prioritize what you're weakest against, and then take that one out first. Now, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe, and have a great day.